Comcast likes Democrats a lot, too. Senator Dick Durbin got even more money than Senator Hatch did, the most of any senator on the committee, $54,000 over the last decade. But he wasn't at the hearing on Wednesday. Another Democrat, Patrick Leahy of Vermont, has received $52,500 over the past decade. At the hearing, he brought up some tough questions, but Leahy did not openly oppose the merger. The truth is that some of the toughest questions on Wednesday came from those who received the least amounts of money from Comcast. Republican Mike Lee of Utah has only received $7,500. Now, then again, he's still a freshman senator, but here's what he said on Wednesday.
I've heard some concerns expressed that the emerging Comcast, the post-merger Comcast, might have the incentive or even the predilection, but certainly an enhanced capacity due to its larger size to discriminate against certain types of content, including political content.
And who's the senator who is way down at the bottom of the list of Comcast generosity? Why, that's Al Franken, Democrat of Minnesota. On Wednesday, he was the only one to openly oppose the merger. So what is the relationship between all this money and how the senators treat cable executives and treat this merger? And why does Senator Franken think this merger is such a bad idea? He joins me now to talk about all these issues. Senator, thank you for coming here.
Thank you, bro.
When I was rattling off some examples in the introduction of Comcast donations to lawmakers, it seems very difficult to believe that doesn't have some effect on the response that Comcast is getting now from Washington. Do you worry about that? Do you worry, for example, that one of the former FCC commissioners now works for Comcast, that we see that kind of coziness between government and business in this case, and that it may cause the deal to win approval?
I don't like this revolving door. I don't like this revolving door between regulators and Comcast. I thought that was kind of tacky, that one of the FCC commissioners just 4 months after they approved the Comcast NBC deal went over to work a high-paying job at Comcast. I just don't like that.
And the money specifically, do you think it influences your colleagues on Capitol Hill?
You know, I think Comcast does give money to people who support them, not necessarily to buy their support, but I really don't like the role of money in politics, and I think it's just gotten worse and worse and worse. I think Citizens United was a very disturbing, pernicious ruling. I think this latest McCutcheon ruling was awful. It's just giving more power to those who have money.
And Comcast would say, you know, Senator Franken's used us in fundraising appeals in the past when the NBC proposed merger was happening. What do you say to that?
Guilty as charged. I mean, I basically said I'm against this.
Right.
I have some experience here. And as I said, I got over 100,000 people writing me saying, don't allow this to happen.
It's not just consumers, by the way. It's also big media companies. There are CEOs of big media companies that own lots of cable channels that are very concerned about this merger. Absolutely. But we haven't heard them speak out.
Well, that speaks volumes about how anti-competitive this is. You know why they don't speak out? They come to my office. They say, this is off the record. Don't. And then they talk about how it's going to be anti-competitive.
So you can't tell us who's visited you. You can't name names then.
No, they're afraid of retaliation. I mean, doesn't that tell you everything you need to know?
What form of retaliation? Taking channels off or paying less for the channels?
Yeah, not giving them access to the 40% of the market on broadband, or 40 or 50% on broadband. Yeah, that's huge.
Have you encouraged
that's the whole point.
Have you encouraged some of these content owners to speak up?
Yeah, you can encourage them, but they think they're committing business suicide by, that they'll be retaliated against, and that shows you what's wrong here.
It speaks to the closed system of cable and satellite distributors and content creators.
And you close it more by combining the number one. This is the number one cable TV company buying the number 2. And this is the number 1 internet broadband company buying the number 3. And by the way, they also have this vertical integration where they have 12% of all television that's produced. Mm-hmm. This is just this is a disaster. This is more than about cable TV.
Ultimately, this deal is most importantly about broadband internet.
It's most importantly about broadband internet. And about 30% of the country has only one choice in broadband. And another 40% has only two choices. That's 70% of people in America that have two or fewer choices in internet broadband. So if you're getting your TV from Direct TV, you still got to get your internet somehow. And if you want to watch if you want to watch TV, you need high-speed internet. And that's Comcast and the combination of Comcast, Time Warner Cable.
Do you see any way that this merger would help consumers? Are there positives to this? Are there silver linings? I can't see one. I mean, I really can't. Comcast has been shown to leverage their position. And I'll give you a perfect example of how they leverage their advantage. They were told by the regulators, you have to neighborhood. Now, what's neighborhood? Well, we're on CNN right now. So CNBC, Bloomberg, Fox News should all be around us on the channel.
It should be, shouldn't it? Bloomberg isn't. Comcast agreed to neighborhood. So agreed to put CNN next to Fox, next to MSNBC, next to CNBC. 24-hour cable news, and in case of CNBC, which Comcast owns, a financial news network. What is Bloomberg? It's a financial news network. Well, so it should be next to CNBC so that people see Bloomberg and, I'm curious about Bloomberg.
This wound up in litigation for years.
Yeah, but they were supposed to neighborhood it, and they didn't. They put Bloomberg out in the nosebleed seats. Why? Well, they wanted more people to watch CNBC.
Yeah, you've spent probably more time in front of a camera